Hello everyone, welcome back. So we've talked about the blue balloons, we have talked about the pink balloons, but now we'll see what defects may arise in the development of the genital system so that there may be a difficulty in either determining the gender, or the gender can be determined easily but the external genitalia are not being properly formed. So let's see what are the various clinical correlations in this section. We'll talk about the congenital anomalies of the urethra, the congenital anomalies of the penis and the prepuce. We'll see what happens if the developmental process does not go as planned. Then we'll see what Klinefelter syndrome is, a very important syndrome. And finally, we'll see what hermaphrodites are and what is the androgen insensitivity syndrome. So rather than going into the detail here, we'll go into the detail with the subsequent slides. So first of all, we have the congenital anomalies of urethra. We have hypospadias. So the external urethral orifice is located on the ventral aspect of the penis instead of the tip of the penis. So this orifice, the external urethral orifice, is supposed to lie on the tip of the penis in the normal conditions. However, hypo means below, so in hypospadias it comes to lie on the ventral aspect of the penis instead of the shaft, instead of the tip of the penis. It occurs due to the failure of canalization of the ectodermal cord in the glands. So the cause can either be the failure of canalization of the ectodermal cord, which formed from the ectodermal cells of the gland and formed the terminal part of the urethra and the external urethral orifice, or it can be due to the failure of the fusion of urethral folds, which help in the formation of the penile urethra. So the penis is underdeveloped usually and curved ventrally, producing a condition which is known as the ventral chordae. Chordae is actually the curvature of the penis. So the penis might be curved, which is known as chordae, and usually the penis is underdeveloped. That is actually the reason why hypospadias may occur. So, referring to the figure, this is a normally developed penis. However, the opening lies towards the ventral aspect. These are the various types of of hypospadias, which will be taken up in the next slide. So, various types of hypospadias. It can be glandular, which lies within the substance of the glands, but not at the tip. Then it can be coronal or balanic, which is also known as subcoronal. It lies at the level of the coronal sulcus or the coronal suture. Here you can see this is the level, which is the junction of the glans penis with the shaft of the penis. Now the penile hypospadias, which is also known as the mid-shaft hypospadias, which lies within the shaft. Then we have the penoscrotal, which lies at the junction of the penis and the scrotum. And finally, we can have a perineal hypospadias, which lies in the perineum. So surgical correction is usually required for this. So we now moving on to the congenital anomalies of penis. We have agenesis of penis, which is also known as the absence of penis. This may occur when the genital tubercle completely fails to develop. So the penis would not be formed because the penis is formed by the genital tubercle. So micropenis is a very small penis. So it occurs due to underdevelopment of the genital tubercle. So the genital tubercle, it developed, but it was underdeveloped. As a result, a very small penis was formed, which was known as the micropenis. Here you can see in the figure, it's a very small penis, so a micropenis. Now, a penis can be bifid or there can be doubling of the penis. So a bifid penis can occur when the genital tubercle splits. Now a double penis is formed when two genital tubercles they develop. So now the genital tubercle is developing. However, it is either undergoing a split or there are two genital tubercles, as a result of which either a bifid penis is formed or a double penis is formed. So moving on, we have phimosis. So a phimosis is a condition in which the prepuce or the foreskin is so tight that it cannot be retracted fully from the glans. So here you can see This is the prepuce. So a phimosis is a condition in which this prepuce is so tight that it cannot be retracted fully from the glands. So it is congenital and is often associated with a pinhole meatus. So here you can see in degree 1 phimosis cannot be retracted at all, and there is a degree 1 pinhole meatus. In phimosis degree 2 there is slight retraction here, and in phimosis degree 3 there is a somewhat retraction there. It also needs surgical correction. It can be a site of infection in the individuals. So moving on to Klinefelter syndrome. So Klinefelter syndrome is the most common abnormality of sexual differentiation, which occurs in about 1 per each 500 births. So the most important thing is it is the most common major abnormality of sexual differentiation. So it's a trisomic condition with a complement of 47 chromosomes. These chromosomes are usually double X and Y. So the extra pair is usually, there's an extra X in a usual male. So this is a trisomic condition. The cause is non-disjunction of the double X homologous. So non-disjunction of the homologous chromosomes, it results in the production of a gamete with a double X complement, as a result of which, when it is fertilized, it forms a triple X, double XY individual, which is known as a trisomic Klinefelter syndrome condition. So usually the clinical features include a tall adult male with feminine features. There's lack of beard and any body hair. There's gynecomastia, the long arms, the pelvis is female. There's female features of the pelvis, female-like pelvis. There's lack of pubic hair. There's testicular atrophy and infertility, and they have long legs. So generally the appearance is of an elongated male with gynecomastia and the absence of secondary sexual characters. So let's see what hermaphrodites are. So hermaphrodites are actually they have the abnormalities in sex differentiation and sex determination. So they can be divided into true hermaphrodites and false hermaphrodites. We have true hermaphrodites in which both the testes and the ovaries are present. We have the pseudo hermaphrodites in which the genotypic sex, that is the genetic complement of the sex, is usually masked by the phenotypic appearance. So the genetic complement is one and the phenotypic appearance is of the opposite sex. So here you can see these are the testes and these are the ovaries. This is the scrotum. This is the penis. So it's a mixture of both the ovaries and the testes. Usually they are known as the ovotestes. Both of them are usually vestigial. They are not fully functional. The individuals are usually sterile. And usually they're brought up according to what people believe. They do not have a good standing in the society, so it's a bad picture there. So now we have the androgen insensitivity syndrome. So in androgen insensitivity syndrome, it's a clinical condition which affects individual in which the affected individual is phenotypically female. That is, she appears normal female despite having the presence of testes and a 46XY chromosome complement. So in this, genetically the individual is male with a 46XY chromosome complement. However, the phenotype of the individual is female, that is, she appears completely normal with a chromosomal complement of 46XY and testes. So it is also known as the testicular feminization syndrome. It is due to the defect in androgen receptor mechanism. So there is defective androgen receptor mechanism, as a result of which the androgens cannot act on the individual, and there is feminization of the testes. So the clinical features include a normal appearing female with normal female external genitalia. There's normal development of breasts at puberty. The vagina, however, is usually short and it ends in a blind pouch. The uterus and the uterine tubes are absent or are usually rudimentary. There's absence of menstruation because of the rudimentary uterus, and there's psychosexual orientation of women. So they're psychosexually oriented as females as well. However, testes are present within the inguinal canal, and the reason of testicular feminization syndrome or androgen insensitivity syndrome is that the receptor at which the androgens act are defective, as a result of which they cannot act on the individual and help in the differentiation towards the male axis. So this was all about the clinical correlates of the development of the reproductive system. We saw the clinical correlates of both the male and the female reproductive system. I hope you found them easy. For further sections, keep watching sqadia.com.